The executive floor of Cooper Industries gleamed with power and prestige. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of the city skyline, while original artwork worth millions adorned the walls. My corner office, all 2,000 square feet of it, was larger than my parents' first house. Not that they knew that. As far as my family was concerned, I was just a secretary at some corporate office downtown. Miss Bennett. My actual executive assistant's voice came through the intercom. Your brother Michael and his partners are here for the merger meeting. I smiled, adjusting my Chanel suit. Give me 2 minutes, then send them in. This meeting had been 6 months in the making, though not in the way Michael thought. His company, Thompson & Associates, had been pursuing a merger with Cooper Industries relentlessly, not knowing that his secretary's sister was actually the CEO they were so desperate to impress. And Linda, I added, make sure you introduce me properly. With pleasure, Linda replied, and I could hear the smile in her voice. For years I'd let my family believe what they wanted about my career. It was easier than fighting their preconceptions. When I'd started as an actual secretary 15 years ago, they'd nodded approvingly, a nice, safe job for a woman. When I'd worked my way up through the ranks earning my MBA at night, they'd barely noticed. Even when I'd become CEO 5 years ago, I'd let them continue thinking I was just answering phones and getting coffee. It was amazing what people would assume when it fit their worldview. The door opened and Linda stepped in. Ms. Bennett? Mr. Thompson and his associates are here for the merger discussion. Send them in. Michael entered first, his expensive suit and carefully styled hair screaming, trying too hard. Behind him came our cousin James, who joined Thompson & Associates straight out of business school, riding Michael's coattails. Bringing up the rear was their chief financial officer, looking nervous. They stopped short when they saw me sitting behind the massive desk. Sarah. Michael's voice cracked. What are you doing here? Good morning, gentlemen, I said professionally. Please take a seat. There must be some mistake, James sputtered. We're here to meet with Cooper Industries CEO. You are, Linda confirmed from the doorway. May I present Sarah Bennett, Chief Executive Officer of Cooper Industries. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael's face went from confused to pale to slightly green. This is a joke, he finally managed. Sarah's a secretary. Was a secretary, I corrected him. 15 years ago. I've been quite busy since then, though you never bothered to ask. James collapsed into one of the leather chairs. All those family dinners, when we were talking about trying to get a meeting with Cooper Sue, were quite entertaining, I finished for him. I particularly enjoyed the part where you called me just a secretary to that potential investor. What was it you said? She's not really in business like us? Their CFO was frantically flipping through his papers, probably realizing that every strategy they'd planned was now useless. But the merger. Michael's voice was weak. Ah yes, the merger. I opened the folder on my desk. Let's talk about that, shall we? Your proposal, I continued, leafing through their documents, is interesting. Though I have to say, your valuation of Thompson & Associates seems a bit optimistic. Michael straightened his tie, trying to regain his composure. Our numbers are solid. We've had 3 independent valuations. From firms you chose and paid, I interrupted. Our analysis suggests something quite different. I slid a document across the desk. As you can see, we value your company at roughly half what you're proposing. James grabbed the paper, his hands shaking slightly. This is ridiculous. Our client portfolio alone is heavily leveraged and losing market share, I finished. Did you think we wouldn't do our due diligence? That we wouldn't notice how many of your clients are reducing their contracts? The CFO looked like he might faint. He knew the numbers were bad, probably had been trying to tell them for months. Sarah, Michael tried a different approach. We're family. Surely we can Family. I raised an eyebrow. Was it family when you told Mom and Dad not to invest in my little career, because I was just a secretary? When you laughed at my MBA graduation saying I was wasting my time? When you spread rumors that I couldn't handle real business? The skyline behind me seemed to mock their discomfort, each gleaming building a testament to the empire they'd never bothered to notice I was building. That was different, James protested weakly. We didn't know. Exactly. You didn't know because you never asked. too busy assuming I was getting coffee to notice I was actually running the company you're so desperate to merge with. My phone buzzed, a text from my CFO. Thompson and Associates stock dropping on merger concerns. Want me to start buying? Not yet, I typed back. Let's see how they handle the truth first. Look, Michael said, desperation creeping into his voice. Whatever happened in the past, this merger makes sense. The synergies dash. Save the sales pitch, I cut him off. I've read your proposal. Multiple times actually. Would you like to know what I really think? They leaned forward despite themselves. Your company is failing, I said bluntly. You've lost major clients, your innovation pipeline is dry, and your management style is. I paused diplomatically, outdated. The only reason you're pursuing this merger is because you need Cooper Industries to save you from bankruptcy. The CFO was nodding slightly, finally someone telling the truth. That's not true, James protested, but his voice lacked conviction. No. I pulled out another document. Your quarterly projections? Pure fantasy. Your client retention rates? Plummeting. Your staff turnover? Higher than ever. Face it, gentlemen, you're not here to merge. You're here to be rescued. Michael slumped in his chair. What do you want? Want? I smiled. I don't want anything. This is business, remember? Like you always told me, no room for sentiment in the boardroom. I stood up, walking to the window. The city spread out below us, half the buildings containing offices of companies that worked with Cooper Industries. Companies that respected me, valued my leadership, unlike my own family. However, I continued, I am willing to make a counteroffer. They perked up slightly. Cooper Industries will acquire Thompson and Associates, at our valuation, not yours. You'll both step down from management positions. Our team will handle the transition. Step down. Michael's voice rose. But the company, our positions, are no longer tenable, I finished. You've run Thompson and Associates into the ground. Did you really think we'd let you keep managing it? James was reading through our valuation again. These terms, they're barely above liquidation value. Which is generous, considering your company's actual worth. I returned to my desk. You have 24 hours to accept. After that, we'll simply wait for bankruptcy and buy your assets at auction. You wouldn't, Michael said, but his voice was uncertain. Wouldn't I? I raised an eyebrow. Like you said, no room for sentiment in business. My phone buzzed again, a news alert this time. Thompson and Associates stock continues to fall amid merger uncertainty. By the way, I added, you might want to check your stock price. Markets don't respond well to merger difficulties. James frantically pulled out his phone, his face paling further. It's down 30%. That's what happens when investors lose confidence, I said. Speaking of which, how many of your clients have confidence clauses in their contracts? You know, the ones that let them terminate if your stock drops below a certain point. The CFO closed his eyes in defeat. He definitely knew those numbers. You're destroying our company, Michael accused. No, I corrected him. You destroyed your company. I'm offering you a lifeline, albeit one with conditions. What conditions? James asked warily. Besides stepping down? I smiled. Well, you'll both need new employment. Fortunately, Cooper Industries is always hiring. I believe we have some openings in the mailroom. The mailroom? Michael stood up, outrage overtaking fear. Do you know who we are? Yes, I said calmly. You're the people who spent years telling everyone your sister was just a secretary. Consider this poetic justice. My phone buzzed with another text from my CFO. Ready to start buying their stock? Begin acquisition, I typed back. Standard hostile takeover protocol. And make sure HR prepares those mailroom applications. Looking up at their stunned faces, I continued. The offer expires at noon tomorrow. After that, we go hostile, and believe me, you won't like what that looks like. You do that? James asked. To family. Family. I laughed. Let me tell you about family. Family doesn't dismiss your achievements. Family doesn't spread rumors about your capabilities. Family doesn't treat you like you're beneath them because of their assumptions about your job. I stood up, signaling the meeting was over. Linda will show you out. Through the main entrance, of course, though you might want to get used to the service entrance. Mailroom employees don't usually use the executive lobby. As they filed out, Michael turned back. Sarah. Save it, I said. You have 24 hours to accept our offer. After that, I'll be too busy buying your company piece by piece to listen to apologies. The door closed behind them and I allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. Through the glass walls, I could see them walking to the elevators, shoulders slumped, finally understanding who really held the power. Linda came in, a smile playing at her lips. That was satisfying, I suggested. I was going to say brutal, but satisfying works too. She handed me a stack of messages. Your parents called. Apparently, Michael called them already. I could imagine that conversation. Let me guess, they're shocked, confused, and wanting explanations? Actually, Linda grinned, your mother said, and I quote, I always knew you were more than just a secretary. Those boys were too busy showing off to notice you were running circles around them. I laughed genuinely this time. Maybe there's hope for the family after all. Well, some of them anyway. My phone started buzzing with messages. Other family members suddenly realizing who I really was, business contacts connecting the dots, social climbers trying to realign themselves with the real power player. Another text from my CFO, Thompson's stock in free fall. They'll have to accept our terms. I smiled, typing back, make sure their mailroom uniforms are ready. And Linda? When they start work, make sure they know who to get coffee for. Success, they say, is the best revenge. But sometimes success combined with a healthy dose of irony is even better. As for Michael and James, well, they wanted to work at Cooper Industries. They just never specified in what capacity. Welcome to the corporate world, brothers. Coffee's on the second floor, but you'll have to make it yourselves. After all, I'm not just a secretary anymore. I'm the CEO who owns your future. And isn't that just perfect?